What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 196 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, we're joined by Kory Ballard. He's the founder of Perfect Cut, which he sold recently, as well as the owner of Ballard Innovative Products, with many lines of products for the green industry, and also co-host of the Green Grind podcast. He is a guest that I've been wanting to get on for quite some time now. He's been on several other podcasts that I listen to in the green industry, as well as his own podcast there. So having him on the show, I just had a bunch of questions that I wanted to get out and into this episode, but the more he answered, the more follow-up questions I had written down. This is a very wide-ranging interview, from founding a company to selling a company to starting his own product company lineup for the green industry. So there's so much different avenues that we explore in this interview, and hopefully we can get Kory back on for a future episode to really narrow in on one of those avenues at least and do a deep dive into that. But before we get into the episode, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cycle CPA. If you need bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com or cycle_CPA on Instagram. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for $200 off their services there, as well as the How to Hardscape headquarters. We have a lot lined up for this software that's going to help you budget, estimate, and streamline your business processes, including onboarding and training new employees. Or if you want to learn how to hardscape, there's going to be training resources available for you there, along with the software that will help you price projects profitably. So if you want to learn more about that, shoot me a message at How to Hardscape on Instagram, or go on over to members.howtohardscape.com to see what's all included in there, as well as you can book a demo with me on that. So without further ado, let's get into our interview with Kory Ballard. Today we're joined by Kory Ballard. He is the founder of Perfect Cut, which he sold, and owner of Ballard Innovative Products, where they have a lineup of innovative green industry accessories. Kory, thank you so much for joining us here.
Yeah, glad to be on, and love doing podcasts, and I love talking about our industry. So glad to be on today.
That little short bio there that I said just doesn't do justice to the amount of value you've brought to the industry, as well as the incredible things you've done with Perfect Cut and Ballard Innovative Products. So let's get started with the beginning. Kory, what got you started in the green industry and got you going to start a company like Perfect Cut?
Yeah, I've told this story so many times that sometimes I leave some stuff out, but I started like a lot of guys do, just trying to make some money, right? I was 14 and I had a moped, but it wasn't a very nice one. And I said, hey, I want this new fancy moped. And my dad said, well, you better get a job. And, my parents didn't have a lot of money and didn't have the means to go buy me. It was actually a $1,300 moped back in 1989. That's going to age me a while, but that was an expensive moped, right? And so I just I went door to door and started asking people if I could cut their grass, like a lot of guys do when they first start out. And it must have been fairly convincing, because I lined up, 10 or 12 accounts, but the people that said sure. And I was charging $12 a lawn. So I was pretty, my pricing was probably not in line, but at the time it certainly made sense. And so I borrowed a mower from my dad and started just cutting grass, and, quickly realized that, I love to make my own money. I liked working outdoors. I'm a perfectionist, so I like doing good work. And that quickly spread, even just in our small community, where I quickly had 30 or 35 residentials that I was doing. And, and I had a moped. So I kind of rigged up this, strapped my trimmer and blower to the mower, and I would pull it behind my moped, which, by the way, isn't very safe. But it was all within about a mile of my house. So we just got around that way. And, by the time I had a driver's license, I had bought a small trailer and a small little 36-inch commercial walk behind. It was an antique, it was junk, but to me, a 36-inch walk behind compared to a 21-inch snapper was life changing. I thought I was in the big time. And mainly still mowing residential. Picked up a few small commercial accounts, just a couple little dry cleaners, and I got a Long John Silver's and a few small things in town here that I just knew a few people. And so that I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it other than I loved working outdoors. I like to work hard, and I like to make my own money. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I at that point had a couple mowing crews, and so I would meet the guys in the morning. I had a couple high school guys and some guys that had graduated high school already. I'd meet them in the morning at like 5:30 or 6. I would give them a route sheet, and by route sheet I mean a piece of paper with some stops to do an order. And as a senior in high school, they had a work program where I could get out at like 12:30, I believe, right after lunch, right before lunch. And so I'd go meet whatever crew had the most stuff to do, and I would help them out. And at that point, I had some family members saying, Kory, you really need to go to college. A lot of my friends were going to college. And I just didn't think that was for me. I wasn't quite sure that I was going to build a lawn care company that ultimately turned into a landscaping and snow removal and all those other services we can maybe get into. But our community was growing. My mom actually had started a sanitation company, so they had a lot of connections kind of in the community. My uncle owned a local bar, so we knew quite a few people. And so quickly I had quite a bit of mowing to do, and enough to run 2 mowing crews, and graduated high school. And as they kind of say, the rest is history. But we just worked hard and started really growing. They were building a ton of houses in our community, and I was picking up more work than I could handle. And so we're just mowing. And then, as it continued to grow, I rented a small shop, which is, well, let me back up. It was like a storage unit, not a shop really, but we made the best out of it. And then, my dad was a tire builder for Firestone, and they kept getting laid off. And so he would kind of help me part-time when he would get laid off. And eventually I said, Dad, why don't you join me? I think we can make a run of this. And, make a long story short, I had 2 half brothers that were quite a bit younger. He's got car payments and a mortgage and a good paying job with 401k and healthcare and all the things that you get when you work, for a large corporation. And so I convinced him to join me, at least while they were on layoff. And so he was working in the field, I was working in the field. But my dad's an incredible mechanic, and my goal was, like I said, Dad, I'll get the work done. You just keep all of our junk running, because we were running a lot of used, older, pretty beat up equipment. That's all we could afford at the time. And but eventually he got called back to Firestone, and he went in there for one day. And he called me on the way home and said, I just quit. I said, you quit? And he said, I quit. So he said, well, I guess we're going to do this. And so at that point, we were all in. And it just quickly grew from mowing. And then we started doing small landscape projects. We just listened to our customers really well. And when our customers started asking us for other services, I started looking around and trying to hire, kind of experts in each facet of what we were trying to do. And from there, it just really grew. I mean, we started doubling every single year. And at an early age, by the time I was, 22 or 23, I probably had, 25 or 30 employees. And at that point, I thought, okay, we've probably got something pretty good here. I think we can make a living at this. And I still had family members say, man, you got to go to college. And I'm like, I got 25 employees. I think I can make a run at this. And, and I was making pretty good money. And, I didn't know my numbers and all the things that guys talk a lot about today. And I preach a lot, knowing your numbers. And we just knew how to work hard. We knew how to get work. We knew how to get work done. And, the rest kind of went from there. And I don't know if you want to know where Perfect Cut is today, but it's certainly, that was almost 30 years ago. So, it evolved over 30 years into, a much larger operation with a lot of services and multiple locations.
At what point in that journey do you start to think of Perfect Cut as something that you can sell in the future? At what point does it kind of click that you can start to build a scalable business that it may appeal to an outside company looking in on it, that they may want to purchase it? And what actions did you start to take from that point to create this business that you could sell in the future?
Mike, I really never thought about selling the company. I loved what we did. I loved what we were doing with the brand. I really enjoyed that we offered opportunity for other people to not only work for us, but grow and join. And I had a guy that started working for me that eventually became a business partner. And today he's the president of Perfect Cut. I saw incredible skill in him. He's a great salesman. And I said, hey, Matt, if you can go out and sell, you go get work. You're great at selling. I'm great at operations. My dad's great in the shop. He'll keep our junk running. We were starting to get better equipment finally, but when it was still a lot of equipment. And so, I never thought about really selling the company. I thought I would do it for forever. But one of the things that we did do from day one is we really worked hard on our brand. Our trucks are blue, and that was non-negotiable for me. Our trucks were clean. Our guys were in uniform. Even when we were very small, we operated like a much bigger company. We always wanted to look bigger. Maybe that was ego and pride and me trying to prove to all the people that said I couldn't do it. So even when we had 4 or 5 crews, we looked, people would say, man, I see you guys everywhere. You're huge. And I'm like, well, we're not really. But, if 5 white trucks drive by you, they don't notice. If 2 blue trucks drive by you, they think that you're everywhere. So I knew from the beginning I wanted to create a strong brand. And, and many times actually I thought about changing the name because I felt like Perfect Cut, maybe just pigeonholed us into sounding like we just cut grass, or people even used to joke, oh, do you guys cut hair? It's like, no, we don't cut hair. But we had built such a good brand with Perfect Cut, and it was catchy enough that it worked. And, so I didn't have an end game really in mind. I certainly started thinking about pretty early on, is this business can we franchise it? Or could we, go into other markets and duplicate what we did here in Des Moines, Iowa? And quickly realized that we were really, really good at getting work done. We were good with our people and leadership, but our back end systems lacked so much. And that's where a lot of companies fail. And we realized that we, didn't have we just weren't great on the back end as far as software. We weren't collecting we weren't getting our bills out on time, which means you're not collecting on time. And so there was a lot to learn there. And we didn't really get those systems in place until we were almost a $10 million company. And we had a year where we did about 10 million in revenue. And we actually lost money. And that was very, very eye-opening to me. Probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to really take a look at the business, what service lines we offered, who was our ideal client, what does our business model really look like, and who can we best serve? And because we were just doing everything for everybody. I mean, we did everything, and residential, commercial, you name it, we did it. If you asked for it, we were cleaning windows, sweeping parking lots. And so we had to get smart with our business and really focus on the back end systems. And, at that point, we hired a CFO that we brought in, and she was really sharp, and she helped get a lot of things all the way down to just, employee handbooks, and what's our hiring process, and what's our orientation look like, and, what type of training do we do, and every aspect of it. We were pretty sloppy. I've said this on a lot of podcasts, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but we had stuff insured that we didn't own anymore. We had guys that had cell phones that we had terminated, and they still had a company cell phone. We just grew so fast that we really got sloppy. And so to answer your question, I didn't really have it like, hey, we'll build this up and sell it. It was, let's just build an incredible brand. Let's try to have a great culture, great core values. Let's make those core values known by all. Let's post them up in our facilities and make people feel like they work somewhere special, and treat them with respect, and give them safe equipment, and then go out and do great work, because you can sell all day long, but then you got to execute.
Mm-hmm. Service line came up a couple of times since you've been talking there. And at the very beginning, you said that you listened to the clients and what they needed, and you went out and hired somebody specialized in that to be able to take on those types of services. But then as you were talking there, you mentioned the service lines were everywhere. You're cleaning windows, sweeping parking lots, whatever your clients asked for, you took on. What service lines would you cut, and why would you cut them? What were the reasonings behind cutting certain services and sticking with certain services?
Right. I mean, I just think we needed to figure out what was our business model. Who do we best serve? Also, when we started getting the back end cleaned up, we could see exactly where we were profitable, right? So we really, at that point, we could say, okay, these are the things that move the needle. These are the things that we're good at. Let's stick to those. And then we started utilizing some subcontractors. But, my brain would tell me, okay, if we do the snow and ice management, we put down sand and salt, why wouldn't we just why would they hire company X to sweep it up in the spring? I'll just buy a tenant sweeper and we'll also do the sweeping. And I quickly realized that that's a totally different business model. It seems to make sense that we can just sweep parking lots, right? We're smart guys, we think, anyways, and we run snow equipment. Why can't we sweep parking lots? Well, it's a different business, right? And then clients that did commercial sites, they said, hey, we have our windows cleaned, every other day on these high-end retail stores. Like, we can clean windows. It's just a squeegee. Well, in theory, it's not rocket science, but it's not what we do, and it's not what we do well. And so we just had to really get back laser focused on what are we good at, and what do we think we can provide the best level of service to our clients. And then we started learning how to say no, and that was our problem. If clients said, can you sweep our parking lot? My answer is yes, and then it's, oh, I better figure out how we're going to do that, instead of saying, no, that's not what we do, but hey, we've got some great people that we work with and they're really good at it, and we can help you get set up with them. And so we just honed in on our service line, as well as starting to figure out, are we a commercial company? Are we residential? Where do we fit, and where can we be of the most value and solution based for our clients? And ultimately that turned into being a commercial site management company, which was, we wanted the commercial sites. We wanted the large corporate campuses. We wanted the big accounts where we could create long-term partnerships and relationships with them that where we could be profitable. And everybody's so worried about talking about making profit, but man, you got to make money, right? And so for a long time we were doing, strip malls and fast food places and gas stations and hotels. And we quickly realized that that's not who we want to be. And so we started focusing on, we made a list of what are the top 100 clients that we'd love to have, and how would we go about getting those clients, and what type of resources would we need from a capital, and what type of employees would we need, and what type of training would they need, and then skill level. Do we need master arborists and certified irrigation techs and hardscape guys to do landscaping, and what type of people, landscape architects. And so we started really looking at how would we serve if we had the ideal client list, what would it take to serve those? And so our business model has changed numerous times over 30 years. And to be honest, it's still changing a little bit. We're still honing in on what are we best at.
I just want to take a break from today's episode to talk about our sponsor, Cycle CPA. You may have a CRM or project management software in place, but what data are you using to ensure your estimating is accurate? Having a proper accounting setup and accurate bookkeeping done is key to understanding overhead expenses and other costs that must be recouped in your estimates. Cycle CPA is a remote bookkeeping and CFO firm that helps to connect the dots from the financial reports to the hardscape and landscape data needed in order to reach high profits. They provide landscape and hardscape industry benchmarking, job costing, financials by service line, advisory meetings, and much more. Cycle CPA's team of accountants are specialized within the hardscape and landscape industry, and you can visit them at cyclecpa.com, and for $200 off, mention the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode. I want to ask you about employees here. How quick were you to hire, say, non-labor producing employees like your CFO, in terms of a pain point comes up and you pull the trigger to hire somebody and get somebody in position for something like that? Because that can be quite a leap for a company to do when they're not actually producing, labor in the field or any sort of position, non-labor producing. How quick were you to do that? What was your mindset around that? Did you evaluate, what they would do and what they would bring to the company before you went in to do it? Or were you just all steam ahead?
Good question, because for me, it was really tough in the beginning. I remember Matt, who again is now eventually became my business partner, which we bought my dad out, and Matt became my business partner, and he just had a different perspective than me. And I had a tough time, like, so we're going to hire that person and they're not going to generate any money. And he's like, no, but they're going to manage. They're going to manage a team of people. I'm like, well, we're going to pay them X dollars, but they're not going to produce money. So for me, that was tough because I thought everybody has to be, getting their hands dirty, boots on the ground. Let's go. Um, Even taking myself out of the field in the beginning was tough. And I remember when Matt came to me at one point, I stepped away from running the mowing routes and we had maybe 10 or 12 mowing crews and he was running the mowing and he said, I'm not going to run the mowing next year. I'm going to train, I'm going to hire someone to run the mowing. I'm going to focus on sales. And I said, what are you going to do all day? He goes, I'm going to focus on sales. And I go, that's not a full-time job, man. He goes, oh, it is. And every time we did that, we looked back and thought, what were we doing? Like he went out and just focused on sales and absolutely was able to add the clients that we wanted, the ones that were on our top 50 and top 100, and start to develop relationships with them. So yeah, to your point and your question is, it was tough. And then we had one admin person and then two admin people. And then it's like, oh, we need an HR person. Well, those aren't, HR people today make, 80 to 100,000 to start, if not more. And I'm like, so we're going to pay that person 100,000 and they're just going to do the onboarding? And it's like, no, they're going to do the entire recruitment. And so yeah, that was very tough for me, kind of just being a little bit old school, maybe just a little closed-minded, no, business classes or degree. And so I think I had a tough time with that. And I think a lot of small business owners do. They have a really tough time justifying, how do I pay even a small company where I talk to guys and I say, hey, man, just get somebody 25 or 30 hours a week. Maybe it's a retired school teacher and have them do your books. Well, I can do my books. Well, I know you can do them, but is that the best use of your time? What if you could solely focus on the company and you could pay this person 20 hours a week to just get your invoices out and get your bills paid? And, it's always, well, I don't think I can afford them. And today I go, man, you can't afford not to, because that 20 hours a week you're spending doing invoicing, if you're the best salesman at the company, you got to get out and sell. If you're the best guy at operations, get out and run operations. And so for me, it was tough. Every time we brought somebody in that was a non-working, non-field working person, that overhead burden always scared me a little bit. But it is absolutely necessary if you want to grow. And, at the time, we didn't run the numbers like we do today. Now, anytime we add somebody, we look at, okay, what do they cost? What are they going to do? What does that free up for X, Y, and Z people? How do we make sure that we get an ROI on this, body that we're going to bring into our, what we call our admin team?
Gotcha. Yeah, excellent answer there. And when it comes to getting employees, especially those labor producing ones, but also those non-labor producing ones, where was the best source that you found to get employees, especially in a labor market that's so difficult to find good people?
Yeah, so for us, the labor pool, our number one recruiter, and still is today, is our own people. We've tracked it really diligently, and we do a referral bonus. So if you work for us and you bring in somebody, we give you a $500 referral fee. Now it's paid out over 90 days. They got to stay with us. We also do a sign-on bonus, so the person that comes on gets a sign-on bonus. But the referral fee is where we've done really, really well. What we found is our people hang with people similar, right? I mean, the guys that they have a beer with on a Friday night or go to the softball or church or whatever activities they're involved in, typically maybe are other landscapers or concrete guys or roofers or maybe work in the construction field. And by providing a great place to work with opportunity, they started saying, hey, man, I work at Perfect Cut, and man, this is a great company. I've had I get my reviews. I've had wage increases. There's opportunity. People are moving up in the company. They're growing. Why are you working over at Joe's Landscape? We got a 401k. We got healthcare. What are you doing over there? So we started offering things that most people in our industry, at least in our market, weren't offering. And when people started realizing that it wasn't just a job, but it was a career, we started getting the cream of the crop. And I used to always say, like, guys, we don't need 5,000 people. We just need the best 100 people in Des Moines, or 150 or whatever that number ends up being as we grew. But I'm like, we don't need everybody. We just need the best 100 in Des Moines. And there's, every street, every corner, there's landscape companies all over our market, just like there is in every other market. So there's people out there doing the work. How do we get the best ones to work for us? And so that comes down to even just the image of when they see our trucks. This happens a lot today still. And we have signs on our vehicles that say now hiring, always hiring great people. When you pull up to a gas station and this landscape company gets out of their dirty truck and pop bottles fall out on the floor and their equipment's junk and rusty. And then our nice stuff pulls up and guys get out in khaki pants with the uniform and their shirts tucked in. And they kind of start going, that looks a little more attractive to me. I wonder what it's like over at Perfect Cut, because that crew looks happy. They're in uniform. Their equipment looks safe. It's not all brand new, but it looks clean. It's safe. We wash our trucks. We started to create something that was attractive and where people want, the people that want to move and shake. If you want to work in the industry and you want opportunity, we've got that. So that's what really worked in our labor pool. As far as admin, account managers, salespeople, again, we just tried to create something that was very attractive, all the way from, clean facilities, nice offices, showing them that there's growth opportunity when somebody comes in. Before we even interview, we talk about who we are. We tell our story. Who are we? How long we've been in business? What are we passionate about? We have our core. What are our core values? We recite them. It's pride, and each one stands for something. And we want them to be like, that's a place I want to work. And so we spend a lot of time talking about who we are. We have some videos that are made that every new employee watches, and I'm on there, Matt's on there, and we just talk about how we started, our humble roots. So they know, because what happens today is they come in, they see this big company, and they just think it's always been big. I want them to know who we are, what we believe in, and how hard it's been to get to where we are today, and also have some passion and pride that if I'm going to put that uniform on and I'm going to jump in a blue truck, that's a place I want to work. And when they come in our offices, we've got pictures of jobs we've done, and we've got a bunch of motivational sayings with our logo on them. And we just want them to be really welcomed. We give everybody a proper interview, regardless. I don't know how many interviews you've ever done, but I've been 10 minutes into an interview and I know that person's not going to work for us, but I still give them the respect, and everybody on our team, whether it's our HR doing it now, we give them the respect of a great interview. But we also ask a lot of different questions than what most companies are. They always were, how much experience do you have? Where did you work before? We want to know who they are as a human. What do they do in their free time? What books have they read? Do they coach Little League? What church we're looking for just very good human beings, solid people. And I preach this a lot on our podcast. And anytime I'm talking on anybody else's, like, I see these ads all the time and must have experience. And I'll take a great human being with a good attitude and good core values that I can train. I'll take them 7 days a week over a guy that's got 7 or 8 years experience. He's been at 4 different companies. He's got a shitty attitude. He brings in bad habits. He thinks he knows it all. And I see these guys all the time. They're looking, I must have 5 years experience. I'm like, well, you just eliminated half the work pool, by the way. But why? Or, pay based on experience. So if I have no experience and my worth 0, what if he's got a great aptitude for learning? I'd love to teach them. So it does take longer when you bring in somebody with no experience, right? Now you've got to train them. But most likely, if you get the right person and then train them, you're going to retain them. And we used to have this turn and burn where we had over a 50% turnover. And today, I think our turnover rate's less than 10%. So we hire slow, but we get the right people. And again, for me, we just got to tell our story. We want them to leave and go home to their significant other or whoever, maybe their parents, and be like, I don't know if I'm going to get that job, but I want to work there. Those people are excited. That's a company that's doing they're doing some things.
Definitely. I want to get to Ballard Innovative Products, but sure. I do have a couple more questions regarding your Perfect Cut. In terms of bringing an employee on, did you ever show them like a career path, what that would look like at Perfect Cut? Or did you wait to kind of identify something that you saw in them to be able to sit them down and say, hey, you could have a career here and this is what it looks like? Or did that kind of come up in conversation with employees at any point in time at Perfect Cut?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that, because I was going to maybe hit on that. So part of the orientation video is we tell some stories of several individuals that started at, $9, $10, $11 an hour as just ground labor. I mean, and that are now branch managers, division managers, account managers. So we tell those stories so that they know that there's a career path. We have our organization chart up on the wall, and they can see who do they report to and where everybody goes and is. We want to make it very transparent that if you want a career with us long term, we'll help you get there, and we will show you the path. And Bob Runyon, who's our operations manager of our Des Moines branch, we do one-on-ones with everybody, but during your one-on-one, we want to know, what are your goals here? And then how do we get you there? Okay, you want to be, we got to get your pesticides license. Oh, you want to get a CDL. Our goal is to move people up. If you're cutting grass for us and 5 years from now, you're still cutting grass for us, I think we failed you. Some guys just want to cut grass. That's okay. But we want to move you up. And I say this all the time to our team, like, we know we're not an end game for everybody. I want them to leave a better person than when they started. So we get guys that say, hey, I'm on with the electric union, or I got picked up at the plumbers union, or I'm a truck driver for Pepsi, right? Or Coca-Cola. That CDL you helped me get, Kory, thanks. I'm going to go drive a truck. But that's okay. We shake hands and say, man, we really appreciate it. We love you. We appreciate what you've done here. Man, if anything ever changes, we'd love to have you back. We're not, I talk to guys and they're like, so-and-so left and I'm pissed. I'm like, you're pissed that he's going to make his life better and take care of his wife and kids? Or, we have a lot of, women that work for us too, but I just, like, you're mad he's leaving? Like, that's part of the game. So you better make sure that you have good bench strength. That's why the training, and why we're always recruiting, and why we're always giving people career paths, because we know that we're not an end game for everybody. So we always are talking about, how do we get you to the next level? And when people say, hey, I want to be a manager. Okay, well, let me show you what it takes to be a manager. Here's some classes we'd like you to take. Here's some books we'd like you to read. Let's see if your attitude. And then when you come back, we give them 2 or 3 measurables. And then we come back and say, hey, Joe, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. It's been 6 months. You haven't done those. You still want to be a manager? Yeah, I want to be a manager. Okay, but you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So there's a lot of accountability in our organization. Like, we'd love to see you move up, buddy, but got to do the work. We'll help you, but you got to do the work. And because we, just like every company, we've moved people up based on tenure. And, maybe you have a guy you just really like. I have those guys. I just really like them. And I move them up and I put them in the wrong seat and they fail. And man, it's really hard to say, Todd, you didn't make it there, buddy. I can't you can move back, but it pays 30%. It's hard to move a guy back. So if you put him in the wrong spot, you almost got to terminate him. Like, sorry, I gave you that manager job. You failed. But one more thing, and without making this too long, anytime somebody leaves us or they fail, one of the things that we do really well is we take accountability and say, what did we do wrong? Were we not clear on the expectations? Did we not train them properly? Did we just put the wrong person in the wrong seat? And how can we make sure that we don't do that again? Because ultimately, we don't want to see anybody fail. And those are tough conversations, especially when, I was really close with a lot of the guys that worked for them, not as much today, but, I was in guys' weddings. I had to fire people. I was in their weddings. You hunt together, and we used to drink a few beers after work, and you become kind of a family. And then as you grow, those are tough conversations when you got to write a guy up who, you were standing up in his wedding 6 months before. Those are tough conversations. And so I've removed myself from that close. I've learned over the years that I got to distance myself a little bit from that. But I don't know if that answers your question, but we always try to elevate our people. We give them a roadmap, and we give them the tools to move up if they're willing to do the work.
Each of these questions could be interviews in and of themselves, with how many follow-up questions I have for you. So thank you for bearing with this wide-ranging interview here, Kory. Last question about Perfect Cut, and then I really do want to get to Ballard Innovative Products. In your opinion, or maybe you were told by the company that actually bought Perfect Cut, what was the most appealing thing about acquiring Perfect Cut for them?
Yeah, so just real quick, Perfect Cut was not for sale. We had no intention of selling. we actually we kind of call it a partnership, but a Heartland company out of Kansas City. I think they own about 18 companies in the U.S. in their platform now. They just kept reaching out, and we said, we're not interested, we're not interested, we're not interested. And Matt finally said, I'm going to go have coffee with their guy that's in charge of mergers and acquisitions. And he said, hey, I think we should maybe explore this. And so they loved they're always looking for the market leader, which we are in our area. And they just loved our culture, our brand. And so all the things that we've done for 25 or 30 years that people didn't think matters, they all matter. I love, Matt was just on a podcast on the Green Grind with us, and he goes, everything matters. And that's so true. When guys are like, well, that's not that important, and that's not that important, it all matters if you want to build a great company. And so they loved what we did as a company. They loved that we were in 3 different markets. So we're in Des Moines, Omaha, and then Cedar Rapids, Iowa as well. So we've got a pretty nice area here. We do a lot of maintenance. So companies that are looking to buy like the residual cash flow versus, if you're just a hardscape company or just a landscape company, great business, very profitable if you do it right, but you're only as good as that next install. And so they love our snow and ice management and our maintenance because they want that residual cash flow. And so, for us, it just made sense. It was it was the toughest thing we've ever done. I mean, to sell something that you started from scratch. I'm still involved. I'm still on our strategy team. Nothing changes. So one of the things that we really liked about their platform was, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, there was a lot of mergers and acquisitions. They'd come in to a company like Perfect Cut, and a brickman would buy them, and all of a sudden the trucks are tan, and the guys are wearing different uniforms, and all the policies changed, and it failed miserably. And a lot of companies went back to the original owners. A lot of companies failed. And what I love about their model is they said, we want you to do nothing different. The only difference is they own the stock and I don't, right? So we really wouldn't even have had to tell our employees. Nothing looks different to our clients. Nothing looks different to our employees. But where the real value is, and I talk to guys a lot about this, is, having clean books. Our books were clean. We weren't ramrodding personal stuff through. Guys have their boat and their Corvette and they buy a grill and their books are a mess. Our company books were clean. We had a great business model. We have great clients. Everything's in contract. Employee handbooks and safety and all the things that really are turnkey. If you're running your own company and you're wearing all the hats and you're not there, there's not much value. And so Matt and I had stepped out of that, and we surrounded ourselves with amazing people that we empower to make decisions daily and run the company. And so, for us, it just made a lot of sense. We'd done this a long time. Financially, we were in a good spot, and it took a little risk off the table because both of us were like, we do tree service. We got guys up in boom trucks, and what if somebody were to get killed and they're going to sue me and the Perfect Cut and Ballard products? And so, for us, it just made a lot of sense. And again, our entire goal from day one is, how do we make sure we take care of our people? How do we make sure we take care of our clients? And when they say nothing's going to change, is that true? And so we talked to a lot of other companies that they had bought, and they've said, hey, they've done everything that they said they would do. And to this day, we've been 2 years now, almost 18 months since we sold. They've been a great partner. And actually, there's been some benefits as far as, just because of the size, we can buy equipment cheaper, a little bit better healthcare program when you consolidate into thousands of employees. And but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. For us, we were never for sale, though. It just made a lot of sense, and I don't regret it. But there's still days I see blue trucks drive by me every day, and I still tell people, I'm like, yeah, they'll say, do you own Perfect Cut? I go, yeah. And then I'm like, no, actually, I don't. I don't own Perfect Cut. And they're like, what? And then I don't want to tell them the whole story. I'm like, but it's been a great partnership, and it's been a great situation for our entire team. Matt Bowman, my business partner, stayed on as president. I'm still on the strategy team, as I mentioned. We're running it just like we were running it before. And that's what they want. I've even said, what do you want us to, guys, what would you like us to change? Or Matt says, what do you want us to change? They say change nothing. You guys are killing it. So that's what we
Amazing.
do.
Hey, do you have a budget set for 2023? Are you starting the estimating process with a budget in place to ensure that you are recovering your overhead expenses, labor, material costs, profit, and other hidden expenses within your business? Do you know that you're making profit on certain projects throughout the year? If you're struggling with any of these things, then the How to Hardscape headquarters can help you this year. Check it out at members.howtohardscape.com or shoot me a message at howtohardscape on Instagram. This software will streamline processes in your business. It's going to help you budget, estimate, ensure that you are making profit on projects throughout the year, and help you adjust throughout the year. We're also going to be continuously improving this software to include more and more features, as well as the content that's already available to members right now if you're looking to train your employees as they come in. So once again, members.howtohardscape.com. The price will continuously go up as more features and as more content is offered over there. So there's never a bad time to get signed up with that. And with that being said, let's get back to the episode. Kory, can I steal 5 more minutes of your time here to talk a bit more? Yeah, we've opened up so many wormholes here. I'd love to have you back on in the future to explore at least one of those to go down. One thing that comes to mind just in and of itself is that sale itself, and you on the other side of that sale, because I know a few business owners that sell their business, especially having grown a business for decades, and what do they feel on the other side of that sale? But we'll save that for another time, I think. Here, Ballard Innovative Products, where does that fit in the timeline? What did you seek to accomplish by starting Ballard Innovative Products?
Yeah, so that company I actually started in 1999 with just our first product and our first patent. So we were just making products to make our lives easier. So the first product was our Easy Gate, which is just a product that goes on a utility trailer to help lift and lower the gates. And so the gates are slammed to the ground, and my dad says, I think I'm going to rig something up. My dad's super handy, right? So he built this thing, and I said, shit, I think we can sell those. And so we went out to the GIE show, which is Equip Expo now in Louisville. And we looked around, and I'm like, nobody has anything. And so we started with one product, and I just started making these in our back shop. I just sectioned off a little section and had one guy part-time, and me, we're just putting them together. And I was driving around to all these trade shows. And then shortly thereafter, we built a jack to lift our mowers up. And I'm like, God, we use these things every day. Surely we can and so for me, it just started kind of going, if these products make our lives easier, there's hundreds of thousands of landscapers out there. How do we get these out there? Back then, though, the challenge was no social media, right? This is, 1999, early 2000s. The only way was trade publication magazines like Lawn and Landscape and Pro. I would travel the whole U.S. and go to trade shows. That's expensive, and you don't hit very many people. And so we just kept adding products that some of them we were building, and then we started also becoming distributors for other products that we were using daily. So we had these other products that we were using, Advanced Shoot being one of them. It's just a shoot blocker that goes on mowers, and I put them on all of our mowers, I think, in 2005. And I reached out to them, and I said, guys, we don't run a mower without one of these. Can I just sell them? And I said, yeah, nobody's selling them. We don't know what to do with the product. And so we started creating relationships with other people. I started reaching out saying, I think I can sell your product. And so I created a website, pretty cheesy, just a really basic bare bones website. And so we were just selling, we maybe had 30 or 40 products. And I had one guy in a small warehouse, and then I had one sales guy. But I did that for about 15 years, and it was just kind of a hobby business. It didn't make a lot of money. I just kind of enjoyed it. I thought we had some cool products. And then 2017, I think it was, I said to my wife, I said, I'm either going to shut it down or I'm going to do something with it. I said, we got some really cool stuff. I kind of was at a place at Perfect Cut where I just didn't feel like I was adding a lot of value. We got great people in place. I'm a kind of guy that, this is me being calm, but I'm super high energy. Like, I want to go. And I just felt like I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And so I said, hey, I'm going to step away from Perfect Cut. I said, Matt, you're right. You can be the president, or you certainly deserve to be. I'll step down. because I was trying to do both kind of halfway. And when you do that, you're not great at anything. And so it was shut it down or do something with it. And I reached out to a guy and said, what do you know about Facebook marketing? He goes, nothing. I said, okay, well, you probably still know more than me. And we started grabbing some iPhones and shooting some videos. And, from 2017, it just started snowballing where we were running ads on, videos on Facebook, just showing people products that we were using every single day at Perfect Cut. I was using Perfect Cut's equipment. Here's the products we use every day. Here's how it helps our business. If it makes sense, jump on our website and buy some. And quickly, it grew. And then we got a little more professional and had to get some people involved. And we have a full-time videographer and marketing guy. And now we have a team of about 10 of us here. And I've added hundreds of products. Once I was able to step away from Perfect Cut, I just focused fully on Ballard and said, we can do something really, really cool here. And today it's been pretty bizarre. We've, grown it into a pretty large company. We shipped about 200,000 products last year. We're in the process of building a 26,000 square foot warehouse and offices. I've got, if you could see my floor, I've got prototype after prototype of products, because I think where our special sauce is, not to sound cocky, but I just kind of know what works and what doesn't. And I won't sell anything I wouldn't use. And that's and so if I wouldn't use it, I'm not interested. But I also keep looking. I'll go out and watch crews and I'm like, God, that would make more sense. What if he could keep his trimmer with him, or what if, and then I'm like, I can build that. And so we'll build one up and mock it up. And then I have a manufacturer. I have a series of manufacturers that I'll send them a prototype and say, hey, build me one of these. Let's test it. So I feel like I have a pretty good measure of what makes sense in our industry and what doesn't. I've missed on a few of them. But, for the most part, I do that. And then I kind of like a weird Shark Tank thing, but I get a couple products a week pitched to me now, which is kind of fun. Where guys in our industry that are out there working every day said, hey, I made this for my company to make my life easier. What do you think? And so a lot of those products I've helped bring to fruition, and these guys get royalties from me. They'll give me this pretty rough product, and I have the ability to take it, clean it up, get it manufactured. But then that's kind of the easy part. Then somebody has to figure out how to market it, ship it, warehouse it, sell it, warranty it. There's a lot that goes on there. So long answer there. Hope I didn't kill you with that one. But yeah, it's just been an evolution of a growing industry. And with social media, man, we had 60 million views last year on our social media channels. I mean, so we're hitting a crazy amount of people. Whereas even 10 or 15 years ago, I don't know how you would have done that.
Mm-hmm. Yet another avenue we can explore if you would ever want to come back on the show. Last question to wrap things up here. Take as much or as little time as you want on this, but I ask this to every business owner that comes on the show. That is, what is one thing you know now, Kory, that you wish you knew from the very beginning? This can be personal related, business related, whatever you want to take this, but what's one thing you know now that you wish you knew from the very beginning?
Oh, well, there's a couple things. Personally, I know now that having stuff won't make me happy. Again, maybe just ego and pride, and maybe I thought if I just had all this stuff that I would be happy. And what I've learned over the years is, you can get a fancy car, a fancy watch, or a big house, but none of that stuff works. It doesn't make you happy. I tried all that, and what I know today, sorry, my phone's ringing. What I know today is, for me to be able to help people and grow people and watch them buy their first house and get married and have children. And I love that we can provide great careers and opportunities for people. And so that's where I get the most satisfaction today. I just think for so many years there, I thought that success was defined by stuff. And what I've learned is it doesn't. And, the better I treat people and the more I give out, the more I get back in return. And so I just try to be incredibly humble. I try to treat everybody with respect. I try to help anybody in our industry. I get numerous emails a day. Even this morning, the guy said, "Hey, I'm bidding this mowing property. What do you think?" And uh, I'm just trying to help people anytime I can, whether he ever buys a product from me or not. I don't care. I love our industry, and I didn't have anybody to reach out to back in the day. We just had to learn the hard way. And today there's podcasts like yours and our podcast and YouTube, and there's so much great stuff out there that I love that people can, that our industries continue to get more professional, and that guys can reach out to me, and they're amazed that I get back to them. I think it's clear. They're like, "I can't believe you got back to me." I'm like, "I told you, shoot me an email. I'll get back to you." And I think you emailed or sent a message on maybe Instagram, and they gave you my, I got right back to you. I work really, really hard at just treating everybody with respect. And so I don't know. I think for me, and I just learned that the things that are important to me today are so much different than what they were in the beginning, which today it's, my family, my kids, my faith. And then, helping other people grow and watching them, hopefully fulfill their dreams. And if they work for us and we can create a great place for them, I love that. If they don't, we shake hands and I wish them the best. And that's just how I try to live my life.
Kory, I've held you up for way too long. Where can our audience go to find out more about you? Anything that you've got going on? Where do you want to send them to?
So if you guys are interested in any of the products or just want to see what we got going on there, it's just ballard-inc.com. You can find us on Facebook and, of course, Instagram. If you're interested in seeing what Perfect Cut looks like today, it's just Perfect Cut, which is PERFICUT.com. You can click on there. It's got all of our staff bios and our locations on there. The website looks exactly the same, even though I don't own it anymore. But yeah, if you guys shoot us a message on Instagram, if you have any questions, we also, shameless plug, but we have a podcast called The Green Grind, where my buddy Leroy Maines and he owns a landscape company here in Des Moines. We just try to get great guests on that tell their story. So we're just always trying to put out good content, and man, we just love our industry, and we're just trying to elevate everybody.
Kory, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Once again, if you need bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, Cycle CPA at cycle_CPA on Instagram or cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for $200 off their services there. And once again, if you need that software that we've got here, How to Hardscape Headquarters, that will help you streamline business processes, create a budget, estimate profitably, as well as courses for hardscape installation that'll help you onboard new employees or train employees, or even use them for yourself if you're wanting to get into hardscaping. That's members.howtohardscape.com, or just shoot me a message on Instagram at howtohardscape. And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.